I'm Cheryl Grace, corporate executive and founder of the lifestyle brand Powerful Penny. When I started my career, no one would help me. And I vowed that if I ever became successful, I would make it my business to mentor others. I've done just that for 20 plus years. And what I know for sure is that names change, but the challenges rarely do. So join me as I mentor 5 professionals in real time on Live from the Pink Couch. Who knows? You might just discover a solution to your career dilemma.
Hi, everyone. I'm Cheryl Grace, and welcome to episode 6 of Live from the Pink Couch. We're coming to you live today, but unfortunately, I'm still sequestered away from my beloved pink couch due to COVID-19. The couch is safe, as am I, and I hope that you and yours are safe as well. But the hashtag Next Level Tribe of Mentees has not let the quarantine stop them from achieving their big pink elephant goals. Now, a pink elephant is a really large, huge, audacious goal that in order to achieve, you have to lean into your faith and the support and help of others in order to accomplish it. And so at the beginning of the web series, our hashtag Next Level Tribe of Mentees all identified their pink elephants that they wanted to eat one small bite at a time. And that's what we help them do every other week when we get together and discuss their accomplishments based on the homework assignments that they've completed. So far we've had one hashtag Next Level mentee graduate. Well, she didn't graduate, she got booted out of the tribe, which is a good thing because it means she accomplished her goal. That was our newbie mentee, Maya. So Maya's not joining us, but we do have with us the 4 other hashtag Next Level Tribe of Mentees who are joining us today. We have Rebecca, who is the hopeful. Rebecca lost her job about 18 months ago and has been trying to find a job as fabulous as the one that she lost, and she wants to do so by September of this year. We also have the rising star, Miley. Miley is working at a nonprofit organization where she's been for about 3 years now. She's got 16 years of experience, and she's really ready to make it to the next level in her career as a vice president. So we're helping her get to that level, whether it's at her company or whether or not it's moving outside of the company and going somewhere else. And then we have Darsh. Darsh is our Lone Star mentee, and so Darsh actually has this yearning to start her own business, a food truck. And she wants to have a food truck up and running by January 2020. We are racing the clock to help her meet that goal. And last but not least, we have Jacqueline, our Career 2.0 star. Jacqueline has already had a fabulous career in the automotive industry, but she really wants to be a photojournalist. And so she's gone back to school and wants to receive a job as a photojournalist at a major media outlet by September 2020 this year. That's like 4 months. So come on, let's catch up this week and find out how our hashtag Next Level Tribe of Mentees have been doing. Hi, ladies.
Hello.
Hello. Episode 6 of Live from the Pink Couch. We're all here. I can't believe it. So great to see all of you. So before we get started, there is one thing that I need to do, and I want to make sure that we give some whoop whoop and woo woos out to Jacqueline. Jacqueline is our 2.0 career star, and she's officially starting that 2.0 career because she graduated on Friday, right?
Yes.
Yay!
Yes.
Yay! So let's give a yay for Jacqueline. That's fabulous. Woo! Congratulations. So Jacqueline, how was the experience? I mean, given the fact that we're all quarantined, what was it like, girl?
I was sitting in my kitchen, hair done, dressed up. It was on Zoom, this platform, and it started out with fireworks and pretty cool graphics, and each faculty member from each discipline within the communication department. Read off our names and our degree. We couldn't see each other as far as the graduates, and we couldn't see the people attending, just the faculty. And, you know, then there was like a section of advice from other Columbia alumni. And one of the biggest things that I took away from it is the fact, coming from this school, when we reach out, when any of us reach out to anybody, they're there to help us. It's
Good.
like this unwritten thing that is what we're all about at Columbia.
And did you kind of get that sense last episode when we had Brent there to talk to you?
Oh my God. Like literally, just even before the show started, and Brent and I were talking, and he goes, "Oh, so you go to Columbia," and we just took off, you know. And like after the show, we talked for like an hour. We've been talking back and forth, and it's like, I went to school with him, or I know him. It's like this familiarity that's really comfortable.
Well, good. I want to say congratulations. You have officially now started your pink elephant goal of getting that job by September 2020. So we've got 5 months and we're counting. And
Okay.
So your homework assignment last week or last episode was what?
It was to get my website up and going, really brush up my resume, and also reach out to 25 people in the industry.
25 people in addition to the names that he mentioned, because Brent Lewis dropped a lot of names, a lot of contacts on you last time. And I know you all communicated after we were no longer here on this platform. So did you reach out to any of those people?
Well, what's been going on with Brent and I, we've been going back and forth. I had already reached out to some people, and I have gotten some conversation flowing back and forth with the Chicago Sun-Times and the Chicago Reader. And Brent really wanted to focus on going through my pictures and really, you know, because he's a photo editor.
Yeah.
And looking at the pictures from his perspective, that would really get more attention than what I had picked out. And then he goes, once that was all done, then he's throwing his names in the pile for me to reach out.
So has he gone through your list? Has he gone through your photos rather?
He has gone through some, but he's kind of had some structural issues with his house that he's been dealing with, but we are going back and forth. So he knows how important this is, but I understand he's a homeowner and having to deal with that, but we are in communications. And he also put me in touch with a gentleman who is a phenomenal photographer and also combat sports. And we had kind of talked about that area. It's interesting that we know all the same people in the fight game. So that's also an area that I could go into, considering he used to work for ESPN Undefeated.
Yes, he did. I hooked you up pretty good, but I can't say I did it. Lori, our producer, hooked you up pretty darn good with that one. So,
girl, that was the bomb.
Yeah,
it's so interesting. Brent and I know all the same people. It's like,
and he's a photo editor over at the New York Times.
At the New York Times, yeah.
The New York Times.
The New York Times.
And he's also worked with ESPN. Yeah, and I think it was the Denver Post.
Post, and then also the Washington Post.
And the Washington Post. Those are huge names, huge. So his contact list, you know, I'm glad that you heard during your graduation ceremony that there is a sense of loyalty between graduates, alumni from Columbia College, because I think that's really, really going to do you well. So first of all, just congratulations on your graduation. I know it was a tough, hard road to get to. And, you know, not a lot of people want to start over at 55. And so kudos to you, Mama, for wanting to do that. And,
thank you.
And so tell me now, you got 4 months. We've gotten your resume up to speed. We've gotten you a website. You've worked on your portfolio, and you have a pocket full list of contacts, people who are the decision makers in this business. What are you going to spend the next 4 months? What can I help you spend the next 4 months doing?
That's a good question because, this process that I've gone with you, you have pretty much laid out everything. I mean, from start to finish, from like changing how I need to present myself on social media platforms, which I admit last week, yes, it was all about me and graduation and posting all the things that Columbia was publishing about us. Seniors.
And that's fine. That's fine.
But just sticking with that path of posting my work, still getting out there shooting, contacts. And then also another one is also, how you have one set of eyes looking on something and then after a while, it just doesn't look right?
Yes.
Delegating to somebody that can have a fresh set of eyes to make something look better. Because even though I'm a graphic designer, I had to reach out to a friend of mine to just totally redo the look of my resume because I looked at it and it's like, this is not describing me.
Isn't that what I said, like on episode 1?
Yes.
I'm just asking.
Everything you have said, yes.
Okay.
You have laid out the yellow brick road.
So I don't want to leave you hanging. I don't want graduation to be like where you fall off. Now is the time where you have to actually pick up this pace because you don't have school to distract you anymore. So your full-time 8 hours a day job is looking for an 8 hour a day job. That is your full-time job. And so it means it's just a matter of continually connecting with any other alumni. So I would start there. If that's what you heard, I would go back through the alumni directory or ask any of your professors about alumni and start reaching out to them in addition to Brent and setting up some of those same kind of informational interviews that we've already talked about. I would also, as your homework assignment for the next week, because you guys, we're going to meet back in a week. Did I forget to tell you that? Because we're a little bit off track because last week was Mother's Day week. And so technically this is the third, not the second Sunday. And if we're going to get back on schedule, then we're going to need to come back again next week. So you only got a week between this episode and next episode. So come back. But I want you to go back and identify and talk to, Jacqueline, not just identify, talk to 5 other people in the next week. Hey, I'm a recent graduate. I'm excited. And even if he hasn't selected all of the photos that he wants to have for you, what I suggest you do is the ones that he has given the green light to, start sharing those and let them know. And maybe that's what you send. I don't even know what your email looks like, right? When you send out to people like the, hey, I'm Jacqueline the Great. I don't know what that looks like. And maybe we should start there, and why don't you send me a draft of what you're sending out to people? Because to me, I would assume that it would include at least one photo to get their attention in the email. So even just structuring that email.
Well, what I have done is because I do also have a link to what I've done at the Columbia Chronicle, which shows not only pictures, but also articles I've written. And a link to, my pictures. That is what got me, the conversation going with the Sun-Times and the Chicago Reader. I also have a Zoom meeting scheduled at 3:00 tomorrow with Jennifer Halprin, who was at the Center at Columbia, which I had did that on Thursday. I was like, okay, let's go. And, it's like connected to everybody you can think of,
I know Jennifer.
Oh my God. Okay.
Yeah, I know Jennifer. That name has been in the industry for a while now. So
Exactly. And she and I, like, literally my first day at Columbia, I made an appointment to go in and introduce myself so she knew who I was and what to watch for, so she knew how to help me get to where I'm trying to go.
So that's a pink couch tip. It is never too early to network. And I said this to all of you guys before, networking works and you need to do it often with everybody, wherever you are. You don't have to be in a formal situation to network. So that's a pink couch tip. So Jacqueline, okay, you're gonna show me what you're sending people for your homework assignment, and I want you to actually reach out to 5 more people using that format. So that's your homework assignment for next Sunday.
Okay.
Next Sunday. Great?
Yep.
All right, but don't go away. You're welcome. All right. So I have to say we're going to give out a most improved mentee award today. And that's got to go to you, Darsh. I got to tell you, because yay, Darsh. And I say that because, whew, girl, you have had me working on this business plan of yours.
Right.
It has been a labor of love. But I want to tell you something, Darsh. You sent it to me late last night, and I looked at it early this morning, and I was so excited. I'm like, she's getting there. She's getting there. Woo, 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 woo. Go, Darsh. Go, Darsh. Darsh, it is 100% improved over what you've been doing. Yeah. Tell me how you got there. Tell me how you got there. I just need to stop talking. Tell me.
Yeah, I think for me, I have to take the ego out of the situation and actually be realistic with just what I'm trying to do. So I had a second pair of eyes look at the business plan as well, being like, would you give me money for this, for a lack of better words? And he's like, no. I'm like, okay.
Nope. Not a dime. Not one red cent were you going to get with that first business plan. Yeah. Go on, girl.
And so I needed to be realistic, and not only with my timeline, but also my projected costs, given we opted for a food truck with the main reason, the fact that it doesn't take that much to start up. So I think rather than projecting 2-3 years ahead, focused on what that first year would look like, so that I can set myself up for success, but also revisit the timeline to, one, add in room for getting the licenses, finishing the book that I actually got off of Amazon after it got delivered like a week late, but actually taking to stock what, like you said, last week at this point, or a week and a half ago, it's fun doing the fun stuff, but you don't get anywhere doing that.
No. Yeah, I learned that, Darsh, when I was in business school getting my MBA. I took all my fun classes first.
Yeah.
Big mistake. In Julia Roberts' words in Pretty Women, huge mistake, right? Because you do the fun stuff and then you got to do the grunt work, and you don't really have the desire to do the grunt work. Anybody else on this call ever had an opportunity to do something and you went for the easy first, the easy peasy first? Yeah, Rebecca, hand up. Jacqueline, hand up. So you just have to do the yucky stuff first. And I don't know what that book has in it, but it turned your business plan around. So much so, just so you know, what I'm looking at now is I'm looking at finding a loan officer who will look at the business plan, just look at it, not making any promises, and critique it so that you can take it to another financial institution if, this person doesn't work out. But right. I want someone who looks at these business plans all the time to take a look at your plan for you, because it is markedly improved. And I just want to say thank you. What was the hard part of your plan?
I think for me, being realistic with the timeline for opening up that restaurant, food truck rather, but also how many people I would be hiring, right? It wasn't realistic for the first year to hire 4 people and pay them a full-time salary. So starting with a part-time employee for 2 people, including myself, and not paying myself anything for the first year, made the most sense, at least for the truck at the time. But also with Chicago ordinances, the pretty rule that the city has is that you can't park the food truck 6 feet of a restaurant or even a building that serves food. So it needs to be near an office building. But there's also a tax associated with, there's a lot of taxes.
Wow.
But also with food safety precautions now, given everything that's happening with how commissaries operate, but also how you recycle oil. So one, consulting the book, but also talking to people who are not only in the restaurant business, but also like just who own a business, to see how they're projecting their costs, I think helped, but also looking at other, you know, I think for me, I watched a lot of Chef Show and kind of learned a bit more about how the Kogi truck was opened up, and for people who opened it up with a business plan as opposed to not, when, you know, bringing Dawn back into this. So yeah, I think for me, actually taking the time out each day and not just picking one day and knocking all of it out, you know, now made it into smaller chunks for me to chew with, okay, fine, like we're doing the operations plan first and then we're doing the financial plan next. And I think that was really helpful, but also not just doing it on my own, asking for help when I needed it, I think is really important. And I wish I did it sooner, but yeah.
So, okay, y'all, I just have to say, if you listen to me, the madness works. Because we've talked about from day one, breaking this into small bites, small manageable bites that don't overwhelm you. That's the whole premise behind eating pink elephants. That's why you have this pink elephant as a goal. That's why I've been encouraging you week after week after week. Hey, Darsh, let's look at a timeline and work backwards. Like, how long does it take to get licenses and permits, and what kind of training do you have to go through, and when will you do that on your timeline? And having you go and talk to business owners and people who own food trucks. That was like your first assignment.
Yes.
But I think what's happened, it sounds like to me, and you tell me if I'm wrong, it sounds like what's happened is that you put your heart and soul into it and things got real for you at some point versus this is a lofty kind of, you know, goal that I'm aiming for. It's like, I got to do the work.
Yeah.
Because it's not, that truck is just not going to appear outside your house and you just walk into it and drive it to your spot and everything's going to happen. So I am thrilled that you are looking at the numbers. The numbers made a huge difference. I even got excited and I showed those numbers to my husband. I'm like, look at Darsh. We got Q1, we got Q2, we got, you know, profit, estimated profit. You know, we've got how much things are going to cost. We know how much the truck is going to cost. We know how much those were all missing from that original plan. So what I'm going to encourage you to do, my commitment to you is I'm at least going to try to find someone who can look over this material for you. I want you to take another stab at it again, go in deep again, and see if there are any areas that you can still blow out. One of the areas that I saw that still needed a little bit of work were you qualify your target audience as youngsters.
Okay.
And I don't know what a youngster is. Is that someone who's 20, 21? Is that someone who's 13 or 9 or 90? Like, you know, I think I'm a youngster, but that might not be your definition.
Right.
So I want you to go in and clear up some of the ambiguous language so that everything is crystal clear. I like to think about having an avatar. So as you think through like who your target customer is, I want you to see that person. I want you to name her or him, and I want to be able to feel that person. Does that make sense?
Yeah. What
else do you think you need help with?
For me, I need to look through this book again because it's actually super helpful. And then I need to go talk to somebody who went from a food truck to a restaurant, what that next step looks like, but also rework the language within the business plan.
Okay. And then let me ask you, so I saw that you changed your date to January 2023. Now, is that for a restaurant or is that still for a food truck?
I think that's both that's for the food truck. I think for me, in looking at everything, I think that 2-year buffer at this point is giving me enough time to learn what I need to learn, but also build up a following by doing pop-ups within a commissary kitchen. Like if you look at our food halls that have, most of these people started with a pop-up. So that's something that I've never done before rather than hosting. Airbnb experiences are huge. So I want to get the name out there for the truck so that there's hype behind it when it opens up. And it's not just somebody who's rolling up and it's hard to differentiate. The truck can look cool, but I think the food speaks for itself. So that buffer not only gives me the time to kind of build up my name with the restaurant and like put my story out there. Not everybody who's in their 20s opens up a restaurant or a food truck, but also give me time to learn about the finances that go behind it so that I'm not digging myself into a hole.
Yeah.
But also give me the time to get everything in order, right? To make sure if I'm the only one investing in this, I got to make sure that I'm in a place to balance both work and life. So I think that's a good buffer, and it'll give me enough time, as you can see it outlined in the business plan, to work backwards and get the licenses and everything that I need. And we're not tying up loose ends when January comes around, right?
So I'm going to go back and I'm going to update your pink elephant so that it reads January 2023.
Okay.
But I still want to see the timeline. And when I say a timeline, I want you to say January 2023, open restaurant.
Okay.
And then what happens in December of 2022.
Okay.
November of 2022.
Okay.
Go back and develop that timeline for me from January 2023 and work every single month backwards so that I know exactly what you're supposed to be doing in any given month. Okay? That's the only way I can help you is if I know what you're supposed to be focused on. And then my job is to keep you motivated and moving in the right direction.
Okay.
Got that?
Cool.
Any other questions for me? Anything you need help on?
No, I just need to get to it. And thank you for the suggestion. This book is pretty cool. Even though you said to get a book, I think you're right with the book. I feel like you can look up a lot of things on the internet. But
so for particular, I think that's going to be a pink couch tip for millennials. Is I know Google is where you all like love to be, but you know, a Google hit there, a Google hit here, a Google there, a Google everywhere, a Google. It is really hard to get a solid pattern of information that you can turn into an actual plan. So when all else fails, read a book, people. Pick up and read a book. And I can see like night and day, this book has made a difference for you, Darsh. Night and day. So most improved homework assignment of the week goes to Darsh. Yay. Congratulations. Woo! Yay. Okay. Anybody got any tips for Darsh or anything to say to Darsh about her food truck dreams, or to Jacqueline about her photojournalist dreams? Anybody, any of the other mentees?
So proud of you, Jacqueline. That's awesome that you graduated.
Thank you. And I will say to you, Darsh, don't let up on the gas. Keep no matter what.
I love that.
I would just add to both of you that it's really encouraging to see that you are still 100% committed and that you're moving your dreams forward. And that's great.
Thank you.
I would add the same. I think with the nature of where we are right now, it definitely has presented opportunities. So it's kind of like, as a person, are you going to let this stop you, or are you going to use this as a positive opportunity to really just continue and not necessarily stop. So kudos and congratulations to both of you for continuing and putting your foot on the gas pedal.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's right. All right, so we've got two lovely mentees left. Miley, we're going to start with you because of all of us, I think yours should be the easiest to achieve because you're kicking ass and taking names at the company where you are. Unfortunately, what has happened is COVID has thrown a monkey wrench into things. And so it's not real easy going in and asking for a raise when people are asking, can I keep my job? So tell me what's going on with you right now.
Yeah, you know, I think this pandemic has, you know, to what Rebecca was saying, opened up some doors in different ways. I think, you know, the ability to really look at where we need to focus as an organization has maybe cracked the door on some opportunities that I could see myself being a stronger part of or playing a stronger role in. And I think that, you know, will hopefully get me to the next level. You know, I think as we experience this as an organization, it's how am I demonstrating my leadership and looking for other areas that maybe weren't as big of a focus in the past. And now people have more sense of urgency around different types of communications and community affairs roles. And
can you give me an example? Because you're right there. So can you give me an example of something you've done that says, hey, look at me, I'm a leader and I'm leading?
Yeah. Well, I think all of the switch to technology before, so, you know, just historically, the organization didn't have an internal communications role and an official position. And, you know, for a year, pretty much, I had advocated for that role and the importance of that role, that, you know, it is critical to the foundation of the organization and its success and how we work together and a culture shift and everything we're working toward. And the role came to fruition in the fall, and really, you know, we have done so much, town halls, launched, you know, internal communications newsletters, plans, working to now pivot all of that and strengthen even more so internal comms from the fact that, like, we were going through a crisis and still are, and how are we being effective with communicating and engaging with our staff? So, you know, launching new platforms for leaders to come together and to share their voice on how they're, you know, addressing staff needs and participant needs during this time. And, you know, we've really been able to amplify internal communications and hopefully make the case for, like, a more ability to connect with staff directly. So not just the channel, but creating programming to bring them in. And so from, you know, community engagement, staff engagement, I feel like the wheels are turning.
So you keep saying we, and you lead that team. So when you go in to talk to your manager about what you have done as the leader of the team, how do you position yourself?
That's hard because, you know, I really do believe you have to build a great team to move things forward. And it's sometimes maybe it's harder.
Yes, you do.
To say the I words. I believe it. I think vocalizing it might be a little bit more difficult.
So can I stop you right there? So I don't doubt that it takes a team to execute, but they have to be executing a vision. And as a leader, you should be providing that vision. So if you're the one who has been suggesting that they move more to a digital platform, there's no harm in saying, you know, my initial recommendations of moving to this digital platform paid off when we as a team were able to execute A, B, and C pretty seamlessly. Like, but you have to have that vision, and I need to know that, again, you're not in the weeds or at the same level with your team. You have got to distinguish yourself as the leader of the team. Otherwise, because the whole team's not going to get elevated, right? So when I ask you, how are you positioning this so that your vision is being seen? Yes, the team is executing, but hopefully that vision is coming from you. And that's what we talked about, like from the first episode, was ensuring that you had some type of a way to highlight what separated you from your team, and proposed a community affairs program or maybe this digital platform for internal comms. How do you sell Miley? I gotta still get you into the mindset of, if you're gonna climb, you gotta be able to say, I did this. My team, I got a great team, but I did this. And I still don't hear that yet. So help me out.
Yeah. You know, I know, and let me rephrase that. I know that I have a vision and that the team is as sophisticated and as strategic as it is today because I've been leading that team. And I think that maybe a way for me to recognize that more clearly would be to catalog it and to think about the plans. Sometimes things just, and this may sound a little fluffy, but it feels natural. And so I just sort of know how to charge the team. This is what needs to happen. This is what we need to do. You be great at this, that, and the other role, and we're going to do this together. And I think because of my ability to just move and produce outcomes, the planning piece or the having it on paper to remind me that that was the idea that was up here kind of goes to the wayside. I act and I move things forward, and sometimes I think I forget that, like, this was my idea, and like what we do is within strategy and with purpose and not just a tactic. So
go on.
No, I was just going to say, so maybe it's writing it down to remind me that this is the vision I'm putting forward.
Well, what I want you to do is talk to Rebecca for a few minutes, because Rebecca has no problem like owning up to things that she has created and sharing it, right? So the two of you are almost like at opposite ends of the spectrum. You're both very successful in what you accomplish. Rebecca wants to tell all of it, and you don't tell enough of it. So, you know, Rebecca, how do you position? I mean, because you've worked on some great teams before, but some of the concepts, they were yours. Yeah. And how do you, when you're in an interview situation, how do you help Miley by sharing how you share things that you were able to have a vision and bring to the light?
Yeah, this is actually a great question, because I got some feedback on this when I did my mock interview assignment from one of my friends that did the mock interview for me. And so she told me basically to start at the high level when I'm explaining or introducing something that I've done, and then chop it down to sort of a more granular level to actually just talk about what I did specifically. So mention the project at high level, the team worked on so and so and so, and then I specifically was responsible for this part of this project, which yielded whatever results are the results that should be. So once I started funneling that type of framework and using that, it really helped really kind of corral everything that I wanted to share.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, that's helpful. And I think I just have to be more intentional about it. I have to be able to be comfortable in the space saying, this is my role. I'm driving the strategy. We will work together to achieve it, but I need to own, I need to write it down. I really believe that I need to write some of this stuff down, because it just kind of happens. And I do the planning.
Well, let me ask you.
Yeah.
When you do the planning, so you say it just happens, but you have to get budget approval for things to just happen. And so you have to generally, when you're going into the budget planning year, have to present some kind of a plan that is going to be executed on the next fiscal year. Do you not?
Yes and no. We haven't really spent my budget, I don't have a large budget. So a lot of it, we've just been building internally, and we've been very, the team, right? I mean, we've got some new platforms that we use, some new technology. So we did make the case for that as part of, I'll go with the internal communications, for example. But we don't really have to get sign off on a lot because it's so small. The budget.
Okay. So when you sit and talk to your boss about what is the next step for your team to take, is there no paper trail that you share with her?
Not really.
Okay. So I perhaps that's the way we start. I've always, when I start with a strategy or when I start with what we're going to work on for the upcoming year or for the next 6 months, I have a list of what the objective is, what the goals are, who's going to be executing, what the vision is, and what that looks like, what the metrics are, the KPIs. And I present that to my boss so that they know what we're doing, so that we're not just out there doing that. Maybe if you don't have a process that includes having something on paper that you can shoot off to your boss to say, oh, by the way, this is what we're going to be working on for the next 3 months. Here's the strategy, the overall vision behind the strategy, the metrics, the tactics, right? This is what we're going to be doing. That way they just don't see the whole team working. They know where that vision came from. Mm-hmm. And maybe that's a way that you can do it. I'm going to find a book for you because I think it is a couple of things. I still think you're not comfortable tooting your own horn yet. And girl, you're going to have to learn how to toot it because people aren't just going to toot it for you. And so I need to get that. I need to draw that out of you still a little bit, Miley. Not a little bit. I need to draw it out of you a lot because I need you to sell yourself without you feeling uncomfortable about it. Because you still feel uncomfortable, right?
I don't know why, because I know that I'm good at what I do. And I don't second guess my ability. I think I am reserved when it comes to laying it down and saying, I did this. It's sort of like I'm humble, but to an extent that it's not benefiting me.
If that's called to a fault. That's what it's called. It's called humble to a fault. And unfortunately, a lot of women face that, right? They think, I know that I'm good at what I do. And if I just put my head down and keep pressing forward, other people are going to recognize it and they're going to give me the promotion that I need and deserve. And in another world, that might work, but in this world of reality, that's not how things work. And that's why I want to get you into the habit of actually saying out loud what you have accomplished as the leader of the team. You oversaw the team, you give them their kudos, but the vision and the direction and the strategy came from you. And you have to be able to say that proudly. And so, I don't know, I can't give you a homework assignment today because I got to go and find a book that's just right for you. Rebecca, you know what? Oh, I know a book, Rebecca, I don't know if you remember this book, but it's called The Gutsy Girl Handbook. But the one that I'm talking about is Why Good Girls Don't Get Ahead, but Gutsy Girls Do. I want you to order that from Amazon. Like I said, it's an old book, and I'm sure there have been other books that have come out, but you are such a good girl, Miley, and that's not a bad thing.
Woman.
You're a good woman, okay? You're such a good woman. Thank you. But I need you to be a little bit more gutsy if you want to be this VP. right? And so that's not to say you need to change your personality. It's not to say that you have to change who you are. You just have to present yourself in a more confident way. And we have to get you comfortable doing that.
Yeah. Yep.
And I can tell you're not comfortable with being comfortable with it.
But if I will say, and I'll add to this, Miley, because those books are great. I think you also just have to really take that advice and really look at and pick out what is going to align with you. Cheryl's not saying, you got to be this diva and like have this bad attitude and that sort of thing. Because that's also, unfortunately, another stereotype that women face in corporate America as well. But it's this sort of way where you have this happy medium of, I'm confident, I know what I am, I have these tools, I did this, and being able to also do that and also bringing your team along with you as well. Those are the marks of really like great leaders that are like, yes, I am the focal point. But I'm also comfortable with saying, I did this, but I also did it with this team. So I think, you just find kind of like your happy medium and find like what's comfortable for you, but still making sure that you're checking the boxes on not selling yourself short. I mean, I think I did that a little early on in my career because I think you're still trying to figure out like, can I sit here? Am I supposed to be here? Like pinching yourself like, oh my gosh, I'm here. And then when you get there, and you start to realize your success and you start to see, oh, I am actually doing a damn thing. So I think you just have to get comfortable with it. So it just...
Yeah, 'cause I don't get the sense that she doesn't think that she said, she knows she does great work. It's just that you can't keep it to yourself. And
listen, do you need,
and you can't.
I was like, I'll have a bullhorn. I'm one of those people. Like, do you need me to like shout it out or be the cheerleader on the Zoom person? I don't mind. I'm loud and I can definitely.
Yeah, you can't keep it. You can't keep it to yourself, and you can't assume that other people are going to reward you for it. And that's why you're a little bit frustrated after 16 years. It's like, hey, I'm a great worker. I have done some things, but you're not sharing it more broadly. So read the book. I'm going to find other books. I'm going to see if I can also get some exercises for you as well, because I know you're confident in the work that you do. You're just not confident in sharing the work that you do.
And I don't know how. It's a new way of thinking for me, I guess. It's a muscle that I'm not scared of it. I just don't know how.
Okay. So I'm gonna figure out exercises that'll help you with that how. In the interim, read Why Gutsy Girls Get Ahead and Good Girls Don't. Read that book because there are 9 steps and some of it talks about that. Okay?
Sounds good.
All right. Rebecca?
Yes.
We're talking to you now. And so your homework assignment was to take a few of the tips that Jeff Altman, when he was on a couple of episodes ago, and apply them to your interview. And then what we did, the last episode, episode 5, was to assign you 3 mock interviews. And so you went on 3 mock interviews. Tell me about those interviews.
Yes. So I did 3 mock interviews with 3 girlfriends, and these women are very important to me in my life. But like you said, Cheryl, you wanted to make sure, I should make sure that these people that will be interviewing me would tell me the hard stuff too as well. Give positives and also give constructive criticism. So they did. And I actually looked back at the interviews, and honestly, you guys, like, seeing yourself seeing yourself and looking at yourself is definitely hard, because I want to critique everything. I was like trying to critique lighting and everything, but it was very helpful for me to actually listen to myself and to see how I carry on in an interview. And I got to tell you, my friends were literally in interview mode. It wasn't any type of like, it wasn't any type of socializing or anything like that. They literally were in interview mode. So I really appreciated that. And so I thought it was great to hear myself. I did use Jeff's tips about SOAR, and I think it was SOAR, was it? Yeah, SOAR. Yep. SOAR. Yeah. So picking projects that I had done, really also being a little bit more charismatic and offering myself a little bit more in the interviews, and really speaking up to the projects and the successes that I felt were really important. And then also not just telling them how important it was, but how it actually helped the company that I was at, or the KPIs that were met, so that I could showcase not only my success, but these projects actually made an impact in my everyday life, in my everyday work career.
Good. So do you think the mock interview helped you with any one or two particular areas?
Yes, I think that helped me with really tweaking my story a bit, and because my story is long, like it's 10 plus years of so much, and the mock interview really helped me critique it, because I had an opportunity, because I did 2 in one day, and then I did 1 the next day. So I really had an opportunity to really go back to back to see what differentiated. So I was able to, as I started doing it, I was like, okay, I'm getting a little bit more succinct with this question, getting a bit more succinct with that question. And also really taking stronger examples of projects that I had worked on and using those as the strongest ones, and just continuing to use those versus trying to figure out all of the different mini projects that I had done. So that was helpful for me as well.
So it sounds like what you've done is, and this is what I think, Jacqueline, you're going to also need to do as you start going out and interviewing for jobs. And Darsh, what you're going to have to do as you start going out and interviewing for money, right, is you have to package up a story. Mm-hmm. You have to have a story, and you have to know how to tell your story. And telling your story, especially Jacqueline, you've been working for 35 years now, right?
Yes.
So you can't take 35 minutes to tell your story. You guys, right. You got to get these stories narrowed down to like 3 minutes. Whereas Jeff says nothing should take you longer than 1.5 minutes. And we have to figure out a way so that you can craft that, Darsh, so that you can tell a banker not only why you have a passion for Indian cuisine, but also how this passion can make money.
Right.
And you need to be able to do it. I know Jeff says 1.5 minutes for each question, but I think your story should be like 3 minutes.
Yeah.
3 minutes.
Yeah. I to that point, Cheryl, I honestly, in these mock interviews, was very cognizant. I think almost too cognizant at times of really trying not to just blabber. And I actually mentioned on one of the interviews, I thought that I was a little bit over dramatic and was blabbing a little bit. But my friend said, actually, you were not. I was actually really engaged, and you were very articulate with your story. And it actually helped me want to know a lot more about you and really focus, because she had a bunch of questions, but it actually, she said, I think helped her know which question to ask. because I was kind of actually feeding her sort of the answers that she was looking for. So that's something where I kind of underestimated myself, but because I was literally thinking about it. And sometimes you
You're in your head.
In my head, and I know I overthink in this, I overthink in my love life. Like I'm an overthinker. So, I was just like, okay, so that was good to hear too.
Okay. So this sounds like this turned out really well. Mm-hmm. What do you still need help on? Because, right now, and this is the other thing, for those of you who are going out into this world, it's a different world. It's a different world. Where we come from. It's a different world right now, but it's not an impossible world. Right. Like there are going to still be people who are going to be hiring. So I think that we have to think of ourselves as the exception to the rule. So yes, there were 30 million people who filed for unemployment last week by itself. That doesn't have to be our story.
Right.
So I want to make sure that I leave you here today pumped up with the belief that you can be the exception. But I need to know your story, Darsh. I need to know your story, Jacqueline. I need you to tell your story, Miley. And I need you to tell your story succinctly, Rebecca. Like, I need to know what those stories are. So here's what I do think. I think that when we have our next session in a week, next Sunday, what I do want is I want to hear your elevator speech. And an elevator pitch for you, Miley, I want you to give that elevator pitch to your current manager and her boss. Okay?
Okay.
Your elevator pitch, Jacqueline, I want you to give to the photo editor of, not the New York Times, because you already know him, but damn, that's a great person to know. But I want to know your elevator pitch to the Washington Post photo editor. I need to know their name, and I need to know what you're going to say.
Okay.
Darsh, I'm sending you into a bank. You got your business suit on, you got your business plan with you. What's your pitch when you sit down and he says, so tell me, how can I help you? That's your mission. Okay. And Rebecca, I want to know what your elevator pitch is. You get on the elevator and you run into the CEO of a major advertising agency. What's your elevator pitch? You got 33 minutes coming from floor 90 to the bottom. You got 3 minutes. Everybody has 3 minutes. Okay. And I want to know what that elevator pitch is. I do have a document that I can send you guys about elevator pitches, because people talk about elevator pitches a lot, but I've actually got a document that I think is going to help you like drill home to answer the question, who are you? What's your story? All right.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome, ladies. I'm really proud of all of the work that you guys are doing. I know it's not always easy. I know, like, Cheryl is getting on my damn nerves if she sends me one more text, right, Darsh? Like, I send Darsh these long text messages with all these questions, like, Darsh, I don't know what this is. What's the youngster? What's your timeline? But I'm only doing it so that you're prepared when you have an opportunity to get in front of an audience of someone who can change your life by the dates you say you want your lives to be changed.
Right. Yes. Cheryl. Oh, yes. I'm sorry.
Yes.
There was one thing that I wanted to touch on that you mentioned, that now we're going to be going into this world where it is a different world. Yes. And I think what for me, I think you asked me like what I need help on. And I know earlier on that the morale piece of it for me was low. But what has really built up my morale is that I've really still been staying busy, especially during this time. So really taking advantage of free webinars, going to different like professional development courses that I see on social media. Just there's a lot of information that's out there that's free. Also started like the first part of my online portfolio, also developing some other my original content that I've been doing. So that has really been keeping me really excited because I'm still creating, right? I'm still creating and still very much so in the space that I am also trying to find, full-time role in, because I did start my own consulting service. So just really making sure I have those multiple streams of income when they come, so staying busy.
Yeah, no,
I was just saying,
I'm sorry. I was just saying,
oh no, it's okay. Staying busy really, I kind of got out of that whole morale salt place and just started, doing, because at any moment it can change, but also realizing that being a part of this and also meeting other people, getting exposed to other people, you just never know when the opportunity will lend itself. But while part A is still a cloud, I'm working on part B and still keeping that flourishing.
I love that.
Yeah.
And you're absolutely right. Like right now, anybody who's working from home and you don't have that commute, so in the evenings, you can take an additional 1-hour webinar. Darsh, there have got to be so many small business owner webinars that are free right now that you should be like tapping into, like maybe 1 or 2 a week. That needs to happen. So, that's a great recommendation. I've been taking a lot of them in the evenings because it helps me as well. You're never, ever too far advanced that you can't learn something from someone else. New. So I love that. So, okay, ladies, it's our hour. I'm going to ask that we do come back here so we can get back on track again next Sunday. Make sure you do your homework assignments plus your bonus assignment, which is the 3-minute elevator speech. And that's how I'm going to have you each introduce yourselves next week, is you do those elevator speeches. Okay?
Cool. Okay.
Okay, Miley? Because Miley hasn't said a word. She's like, okay.
I'm just thinking about how I would introduce myself in a way that uplifts my strategy and my accomplishments. I was just thinking.
Okay, I'll help you. I'll see if I can find some resources for you as well.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks everybody. Have a great week.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Check out the full Live from the Pink Couch web series and keep up with all 5 mentees' progress on powerfulpenny.com. This has been a Powerful Penny LLC Pink Elephant production.